Hello, everyone. Welcome into the offseason here for season two. Let's get into this. We're going to look at some retirements. So far, there isn't a crazy amount of impact players for the Raiders. We lost Jakeem Grant, which is pretty disappointing. We were hoping to be able to bring him back. You can see a guy like Aaron Rodgers retired, Trent Williams retired, Brandon Graham, Zach Martin, Stephon Gilmore, Levante David. There was a lot of good players that retired this offseason. But luckily for us, I guess we only lost one. And like I said, we were hoping to bring him back. I thought he could play the role of pass catching back really well for us. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. We got big plans for this offseason. We are hoping to be able to acquire 3 first-round picks. I have 3 targets in this draft, and I intend on trying to get them all because we need to turn this team around. Things haven't been going well in this rebuild, and at the end of the day, now's the time for us to fix it. We're running out of time to really improve this Raiders team. I haven't got this rebuild out as quick as I should have, and I haven't given it the attention that it deserves. So now is my opportunity to try and go all in, so that way if we can get through 2 more seasons of this, maybe we can win a Super Bowl or at least get into the playoffs, because that's the thing. We've sucked. We've actually won 6 total games in this entire franchise, and I'm embarrassed by that. And that's something we need to improve upon. And that's the goal for this season, so we're going to go all in. And that's going to start in the draft. As you can see, Isaiah Carlisle is expected to go at number 1 overall. He's not our quarterback target. We are targeting Josh McCollum. He matters a ton to us. I think getting a big receiver would be helpful. Keywan Hawes is expected to go to the Texans at 12. He's another target for us out of my Florida Gators. He is a fantastic player, and I really hope to be able to get him. And then the quarterback I want is Ray Hobbs IV out of USC. He is an athletic quarterback with an elite arm strength, and at the end of the day, I think that's what we need. I will say his accuracies are pretty weak, so that's something we're definitely going to have to develop, and that's something I am a little bit worried about because we've had some struggles, but I think that he's somebody we can target and we can get, and he'll really make a difference for this team. Now, looking at our free agents, Hunter Renfrow, we're going to move on from him. I don't think it makes sense to bring him back. Divine Diablo, we're going to wait and come back to him. We're going to move on from Dorrance Armstrong. Damian Harris is up next, and although he did okay for us, he had some regression, and I just think it makes sense to move on. Let him go to free agency. Maybe we'll bring him back there. Robert Spillane's down to a 74 overall. It's time to move on from him. Unfortunately, he's just not good enough to keep around anymore. David Long Jr. really hasn't made an impact, so we might just as well move on. He has interest, so if we want, we can bring him back later. Lyle Collins made an impact at guard, but I don't want to pay him that type of money. So we're going to move on from him and maybe in free agency reconsider if we have to. It's about time we're moving on from Marcus Epps. He just hasn't worked out at safety. He's been a real frustration for me at a lot of times. Lloyd Cushenberry is another player that I'm interested in bringing back in the free agency round because I don't want to give him 2 years. I think he only deserves a 1-year deal, and I think we can get him kind of cheap in free agency. Now, looking at quarterback Russell Wilson, he came in and he actually really made a positive impact for this team. He played well down the stretch. We didn't win a ton of games, but he definitely stabilized our quarterback room a little bit. And although I don't want him to be our starter, I want to bring him back on a 1-year deal. And hopefully that's going to be accepted, and it's not. So we're going to target him in free agency. I think he's going to make a great backup and somebody that if I need to play, I know I can play well with him. We're going to move on from Jerry Tillery and Chuma Adoga. Brandon Facey's son, it's time to move on from him. Chanson Hines, he's not a good guard. I'm not going to pay him. Free safety Nick Scott, another backup I'm not going to pay good money to. Same with Matthew Adams. It just doesn't make sense to bring him back. We're going to move on from Malcolm Kuntz. He hasn't made much of an impact. Mitch Trubisky was a bad signing at the end of the day. Robert Tonyan didn't have an impact, so we're going to move on from him. Same with Jawan James. I don't see a reason to bring him back. And then Matt Paradis, he was a late season ad anyway. We're going to move on from him. Now, taking a look at Divine Diablo, I do have interest in bringing him back. The main problem I have is I think he's definitely a player we can upgrade over. He's 27 years old, a star dev, but just a 78 overall. So I don't think he's going to get a ton better. So I would like to give him a 1-year deal, and hopefully he'll come back and accept that. And he ends up declining. We're going to look in free agency. If we have to, we'll bring him back if he's the best option. We'll check it out and see. Maybe we'll have to go 2 years. We are going to release Malik Willis. That didn't work. At the end of the day, we tried. It just didn't work out. Same with Devin Singletary. We got him in trade where we sent Josh Jacobs to the Cardinals, and it was a bad decision. He was bad for the Cardinals, and he wasn't good for us. So we released him, and we're going to move on. We're going to completely remake our backfield this year. Now, heading into free agency, Nick Chubb is the top player, and I have some interest in bringing him in. The problem is salary. I don't want to spend too much money on a running back, basically. To me, it doesn't make sense to give him a huge deal. There's some other interesting guys like Landon Dickerson here. I have a ton of interest in bringing him in. I think he could make a huge impact for this team. Keenan Allen's interested. He's a player that I might consider because we've had some injuries at receiver, and even though we're targeting a receiver in the first round, I'd like 4 good receivers this year. We need some safety help, And I definitely am interested in Derek Forrest, who we scrolled by. I think he could be a decent player. We'll see though. Looking at the quarterback position, Jordan Love's an option that I thought about, but I want to draft a quarterback. So to me, it makes the most sense to go ahead and just do the right thing and try to sign a veteran to come in and maybe start or at least be a good backup. And I want to start with Tyler Huntley on a 1-year deal. I'll overpay him to come in because I think he'd make a really good backup for this team, and he would match Ray Hobbs quite a bit as far as play style. Next up is Patrick Ricard. I want to be able to run the ball better, and I feel like getting a really good fullback into this team would help a ton. So next up, we're going to go after Landon Dickerson. As I said, he's a 26-year-old guard who's an 85 overall star dev player. We want him here for the long term. To me, we're going to go ahead and throw 5 years on him. We're going to increase this offer, and we're going to end up offering him $94.5 million over 5 years. Hopefully he accepts it, because I tell you what, is probably our top target, and he is our biggest need. Looking at middle linebacker, there really isn't a ton of good players here, so looking at Divine Diablo, it does make sense to throw him an offer. So I debated again going down the 1 year, but this time we were like, all right, let's make it 2 years, make him a little bit happier, and maybe we'll bring him in. We've been weak at D tackle, trying to develop young guys. I want to get better, so we're going to go after BJ Hill. We're going to offer him a 2-year deal, and hopefully we can get him in. So here's the 5 guys we are targeting, as we're going to go ahead and see if we can get any of them here, as we evaluated the offers here, and we got at least 3 figured out. I don't know if we got them all, and we actually got them all. We got Landon Dickerson, we got Patrick Ricard, and we got Divine Diablo. So that leaves BJ Hill and Tyler Huntley, and we decide, you know what, let's pull from Tyler Huntley because the Packers came in hot. For BJ Hill, on the other hand, we're going to offer him more money because we want to compete with the Patriots, and we hope to be able to get him. Like I said, that's our top target. He's 29. He's a normal dev player, but he's 80 overall. Probably not the best decision to go 2 years, but I decided, you know what, we need some help. Let's do it. And then free safety Derek Forrest still doesn't have a ton of interest, and I actually have a lot of interest in him. He's 26. He's only normal dev. He's an 83 overall, though, so I feel like we can get him up to an 85, 86 overall. And for a shorter-term deal, it makes a ton of sense. A 3-year deal, he'll be 29, just starting to regress, and we'll be able to move on. So we're going to go ahead and make a pretty strong offer to him and see if maybe we can get him to come to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, pivoting off of Tyler Huntley, we decide, all right, Russell Wilson's probably our best option. We're just going to go on a small contract to him, though. I don't want to pay him a ton of money. We offered him more before he tested free agency. He doesn't have any interest, so we're going to offer him less now. So the contracts were reviewed, and it looks like we have a decision made by BJ Hill. Unfortunately, he does not choose the Las Vegas Raiders. He is headed to the New England Patriots. And as you can see, Jason Kelce headed to the Panthers. That's a weird one to me, just looking at some of these players changing teams. It's weird. Like Lyle Collins headed to the Rams. Jordan Love headed to the Jets, continuing the Packers quarterback trend of leaving the Packers to go to the Jets. It's kind of funny they programmed that into the game. BJ Hill ends up accepting a 1-year deal from the Patriots. I don't really know why he did that. That's a personal thing I don't understand. You can see Dorrance Armstrong headed over to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tyler Huntley headed to the Green Bay Packers. I'm not surprised by that. Looking at Keenan Allen, nobody's showing interest in him. He's an 84 superstar, 33-year-old. Like I said, I have interest. It's just one of the things he wasn't our top target because we don't have a whole ton of cap to spend. I'm going to go ahead, though, and make an offer to him in hopes that we can bring him in. Because, like I said, worst case scenario, he can be our number 4 receiver, and we're going to play him this year. We've dealt with injuries. Looking at running back, we're finally looking to address that here. I have my favorite target in the draft is DJ Dixon, the halfback out of Georgia, that if you watch the Coach KJ Dynasty, he's a 257-pound power back that can catch the ball, and he burned us quite a bit. So we went ahead and offered to Ramondre Stevenson, who would match that style quite a bit, and it looks like we got him as we evaluated offers, along with Derek Forrest in this round. Those are 2 pretty big ads that are going to help our team, and both of them are likely starters for us. Like I said, I want to get DJ Dixon in the draft, and there's a chance he may end up being our starter if we get him, but he's projected late round 1, and I'm not sure if I want to get 4 first-round picks, so I just may not have the opportunity to get him. And as you can see, we decided to move Trayvon Moehrig over to strong safety since we got Derek Forrest to be able to play free safety. Looking at the final mock draft, they have us taking Isaiah Carlisle, and I got to be honest with you, I'm not taking him. We're probably targeting, like I said, Josh McCollum, Keywan Haas, and Ray Hobbs. Now, the problem is Ray Hobbs projected to go at 17, so I have a feeling we may need to move up from 19, where they have us taking Nick Nix right now, in order to be able to get him. So it's kind of a tough situation. We're going to end up having to burn a lot of draft capital probably to be able to move up in this class. And you know what? It makes a lot of sense to go ahead and do it. The other thing I wanted to point out is if you notice, DJ Dixon fell out of the first round mock draft there. That's important. We're not going to look at the final mock draft because I want to go and kind of fly blind. To me, it makes the most sense to do that. I hate that it's so accurate when you look at it. So I'm hoping that that means we'll have a chance to get him with our second round pick. Now going back to free agency and taking a look, we're going to offer Bobby Wagner a 1-year small contract. We're almost out of money, but nobody's going after him. He's an 81 star dev linebacker at 35, but I would love to bring him in and pair him with Divine Diablo for a season. I'd play Diablo at outside linebacker to replace Spillane, just on depth chart, not change his position, and keep our starter in the middle as Bobby Wagner, because of course he's just a better player. So we do have decisions made here, and Bobby Wagner decided to head to the Steelers, which sucks. So we had to pivot again at linebacker to get more depth, and we decided let's go ahead and offer Malik Harrison. He's somebody that I'm not really excited about. He's a 27 normal dev 74 overall player, but if I have to play him, I will. We did end up getting Keenan Allen, which is nice. And we did end up getting Malik Harrison, which is also nice. So that's good. Our free agency haul worked out pretty well. We decided to restructure Max Crosby's contracts. That way we have a little bit more money, just in case we have to sign anybody or undrafted free agents. We're going to move Malik Harrison to outside backer in hopes that he's a little bit better overall. And he is. He ends up being a 75 instead of a 74. So we want to go after Irv Smith Jr. just to get some more depth at tight end, because we always have basically 2 tight ends on the field, it feels like. And Michael Mayer is our clear starter, but I feel like an athletic freak like Irv Smith would make a ton of sense as our number 2 target. He could come in, catch the ball. I don't need him to be a big blocker. So once again, I'm looking to offer him just a short-term deal, and that's where, the restructuring of Max Crosby comes in, because we got this money to be able to even offer him. Because like I said, the budget's pretty tight right now. So we'll see if he takes it. I'm not very confident that he will. So far, he hasn't shown any interest in taking it, and unfortunately, it just doesn't seem like he wants to join the Raiders, which really does suck. So we're going to go ahead and look at our private workouts, and we're going to get information on Keywan Haws. That just needs to happen. We're going to get information on defensive tackle Evan Wilson, who I like out of Michigan, and then Josh McSorley, the top middle linebacker, we're also going to try to get information on, because like I said, long term I'm not sold on Divine Diablo. And looking at a trade we just had completed to get our 3rd first round pick from the Detroit Lions. It's the 2027 first round pick, a 2nd round pick in 26, a 3rd round pick in 26, and in 25 it's a 4th and a 3rd. And then we also sent wide receiver Tyquan Thornton, who I had some interest in keeping around because of his speed, but at the end of the day, to me, and if we had to throw him in to complete this trade, why not? They're looking for a deep threat. Let's give him to the Lions and see if he can do anything. We are so excited we were able to work out a trade to get the number 6 overall pick. So now we have number 5, number 6, and number 19. Like I said, at number 19, I feel like there's a strong chance we're going to end up having to move up a little bit, because I'm just not comfortable with the fact that we're going to be able to get Ray Hobbs there. He's been projected sooner than that in every mock draft, so in all likelihood, we're going to move up and try to make that happen, just because I can't miss on him. He's our quarterback. I'm putting all my chips in his basket, and he's the guy I want to develop, and I think that we can develop him. So this draft's going to be huge and important for this team. In the background, you've seen some of the free agency signings that have happened around the league, but now let's get into probably the most exciting time of the year, and that's the NFL draft. The Washington Commanders are on the clock at number 1 overall. I think they should take quarterback Isaiah Carlisle. However, they go Reno Brenner, the right tackle out of Alabama. That's a shock, and I think it was a little bit of a reach. He's a good player, but I wouldn't have taken him over a quarterback. Trey Lance can't be your future. At 2, the Seattle Seahawks pass on a quarterback as well. They're going to stick with Geno and go DeMarcus Robinson, a good defensive end out of Mississippi State. The Chicago Bears are on the clock at number 3, and I think they need to replace Justin Fields. That hasn't worked out, and they don't have Caleb Williams in this dynasty, and they keep on keeping on with Fields. They're going to go Alex Smallbone, a left tackle out of Alabama. I don't think the left tackle was their biggest need. They still have Braxton Jones. So at 4, this is really the first spot Keywan Haws could go, and they don't take him. It's going to be Dane Swartz, the outside linebacker out of Wisconsin, headed to the Houston Texans, and now we're on the clock. I fully expect this draft pick to end up being Keywan Haws. I think Isaiah Carlisle can be tempting, but if we have to, we'll take him with our next pick, get him at a lower slot value. We are going to go with the star corner, who's 6'3", out of our University of Florida. He played for us in the Coach KJ Dynasty. He made a ton of plays. He had length. He came in as a JUCO, which is the only reason he's in the draft right now. He's still left early, and he was one of the best corners in the country, and I think he could be a possible generational talent. He ends up coming in with 90 acceleration, only 87 agility, 94 speed, those really nice, 89 change of direction. He's a man-to-man guy, and I think he's going to be great at it. I cannot wait to get him on the field and see what we can do with Keywan Haws. We're also going to end up owning the next pick here, so we're going to have a decision to make now on whether we go with a quarterback or do we stick with our initial plan and take a wide receiver and draft our quarterback later. First up, though, let's go ahead and take a look at Ray Hobbs, because I want to confirm everything that I've seen about him. As we look at the base profiles, you can see Hobbs looks worse, and most of that's because his accuracy isn't nearly as good. But there are a lot of things to love about Ray Hobbs IV. He has great speed, great jumping, elite change of direction, elite agility, elite acceleration, and elite arm strength. He has a lot of good, like, A-level talents. It's just he's not the most accurate passer right now, and that's the question we're going to end up having. Carlisle has an A short accuracy, A throw under pressure, elite acceleration, great agility, only good speed though, great change of direction. He does have elite arm strength, and he has a lot more A's and B's, but those are all in the accuracy categories, which really do matter. Ultimately though, when you look at Josh McCollum, our wide receiver option, he has 3 A's and a B. So to me, it makes a ton of sense. He's an elite agility, acceleration, speed, jumping, good change of direction at 6'6" with all them A's and B's. This dude's going to be generational. I just don't see how you don't take him. We know he's a top 5 talent in this draft, and that's exactly what we end up doing. We take Josh McCollum with the number 6 overall pick. He comes in with 96 acceleration, 97 agility, 91 change of direction, 94 jumping, 96 speed, 93 strength. Keep in mind that's at 6'6", 225. He also had 150 receptions last season for TCU when they went back to the national championship and won this time. He was a great player for him, and I'm just excited to see what he can do for us as the Denver Broncos select Cole Klinger, a defensive tackle, to come after our rookie quarterback, and it's going to be Isaiah Carlisle heading to the Saints with the next pick. You know, that's a good selection. Derek Carr is definitely not the future, so I understand why they went ahead and got a new quarterback here. Hopefully it works out for him. I just don't think he was the right fit for our team. As next up, the Miami Dolphins select Desperado Scott, an outside backer from Alabama, to be a new pass rusher for him. I get it. With Bradley Chubb always being injured, and now you have to worry a little bit about Jalen Phillips, it makes sense to add a young guy in there. Carlo Wilson's the next pick to the Colts. They add a young pass rusher here out of Ole Miss. We'll have to see if he's able to make an impact for him. The New York Giants are on the clock now. Let's see who they go ahead and pick, and it's going to be a quarterback. Kyle Howard out of Rutgers is the selection. He is overrated, honestly, in this draft class. He's got like round 2 to 3 talent, but we do know with these custom classes, I will admit, there have been a whole lot of players around that like 70 to 68 range, so that they kind of get bunched up, and I'm curious if that's what happened. Next up, Saeed Young, a safety heading to the Houston Texans. And then the New England Patriots replace Mac Jones with Shane Cervenka, the quarterback out of Alabama. We've seen him play. He's a pretty raw prospect. He's got a lot of athleticism, but I don't think he has the strongest arm, and that's kind of weird that they would duplicate the Alabama selection with not the strongest arm all over again. Now the Carolina Panthers select Kawhi Janvian, the right tackle out of UNLV, with their next selection. Or I guess the next selection is what I meant to say. The Tennessee Titans go ahead and select Gerard Smith, a cornerback out of SMU, and we're getting close to our pick. Now I'm a little worried that this selection may be the one that Ray Hobbs goes. They signed Tyler Huntley, but Tyler Huntley's more of a bridge quarterback, so I think this is the spot where we should probably go ahead and do a trade and try to get ahead of both the Packers and the Bucks to make sure we get our quarterback. Hopefully it doesn't take too much to be able to move up here. I'm only really willing to go as far as offering the pick number 19 and then like a 3rd round pick, and I feel like that's even a little rich, just because of the fact that I feel as if you don't need to give up that much to move 2 slots. However, it looks like they're asking for a ton in this trade, and I don't think we're going to do that. However, we are able to work out a trade where we give up a 4th round pick, and they take that straight up. So I guess they were being greedy when we called them. Either way, we're on the clock. We already know what we're doing with this selection. We're taking our quarterback, and it's going to be Ray Hobbs, the 4th out of USC, the 6'5", 200-pound, kind of fast gunslinger here with elite arm strength, and he ends up with 99 throw power. I did not expect that. He has 88 speed, 90 change of direction, 90 agility, 91 acceleration. I mean, this dude is a freak. I cannot wait to get him out on the field. Like I said, 6'5", 221 pounds. He's going to make a huge impact for us. Now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are left without a quarterback, so they go ahead and take Terrell Weathered, the wide receiver out of UCLA, with the next selection, putting the Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock here. And they are going to go ahead and select Nick Nix, the right outside linebacker out of Texas A&M. You know, the Steelers are known for taking pass rushers in the 1st round. They seem to do it all the time, and it works out quite a bit. Now with our original selection, the Green Bay Packers go Kendall Vault, the cornerback out of TCU, We'll have to see if that ends up working out when they get their 4th round selection as well, and see if the package ends up being better than Ray Hobbs the 4th. The Philadelphia Eagles try to replace Lane Johnson here at right tackle with Luke Wozniak out of TCU. The Eagles are smart about this. They always like to go line early in the draft. They make sure that they keep that pool of players pretty good, so it was a smart decision. Next up, the Minnesota Vikings go Noak Scott, the defensive tackle out of USC, and putting the Baltimore Ravens on the clock here. And the Ravens are going to go ahead and select Shamari Warren, the right outside linebacker out of Iowa. They're another team that loves to take pass rushers in the first round. It looks like they're going to continue that trend here now. With the next selection, it's going to be the Los Angeles Chargers selecting Avery Powell, the right tackle out of Tennessee. We played against him in the Coach KJ Dynasty. We never really called out his name, so he must have been a pretty good player for him. Other than that, I don't have a whole ton to say. Now the Buffalo Bills are on the clock, and they're going to go ahead and select KJ McDowell, the strong safety out of Oklahoma. Once again, another player that was in our dynasty that I just don't remember that much about. I think we played Oklahoma once during his career. However, he may not have been a starter when we played him. It was a few years ago. Sterling Dovich is the next selection to the Dallas Cowboys, the right guard out of UCLA. We never seen him play, so for him, we're just kind of flying blind. I wasn't really interested in adding him in the first round, so I didn't scout him much. Next up is Deion St. Louis, the left guard out of Ole Miss. We faced Ole Miss, but we didn't say his name, so that's probably, like I said, a pretty good sign. He went to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's going to be tasked with trying to protect Trevor Lawrence. As the next selections, the Atlanta Falcons taking Budo Warren, the right outside linebacker out of South Carolina. We played him quite a bit. I really don't think he had a sack against us. He might have had one, but I don't think he was that big of an impact. Surprised he went in round 1. Next up, the Kansas City Chiefs go DJ Nwanga, the cornerback out of Stanford. I'm really curious to see how he impacts their team. I hate to see him add secondary help. I'd like the Chiefs to be a little weaker there. This team's really tough. Now the San Francisco 49ers are on the clock, and they took Kenyon Nunn-Liddell, the right tackle out of Auburn. Once again, we played Auburn every year of the Dynasty, so we played him. Didn't say much about him, so that says something good. Devin Smith, the cornerback out of Oregon State, is going to head to the New York Jets with the 30th selection. That puts the Los Angeles Rams, the Super Bowl losers, on the clock, and they're going to go Clint Hokett, the left tackle out of Navy. Who would have guessed a Navy offensive lineman going in round 1? I definitely wouldn't have. That's really high, and I did not expect that. And your Super Bowl champions, Cincinnati Bengals, are going to go Pig Oden, the right outside linebacker out of Pittsburgh, to end the first round. As always, they're looking to add a little bit more pass rush help. They know that Hendrickson's getting a little bit older. And to start round 2, we are in a bad spot. DJ Dixon, our target at halfback, just went from Georgia. He's a 257-pound power back. He went to the Commanders. That's disappointing. He was our pick all the way here. I'm just sad we missed out on him. Then it's Cannon McRae, the defensive tackle out of Wisconsin, heading to Seattle. And then Steve Yelverton, the center for Florida State's the next selection to the Chicago Bears, putting the Cleveland Browns on the clock, and they're going to take Casey Turman, the wide receiver out of Ohio State. Now that puts your Raiders on the clock here, and we have a decision to make. We end up having to pivot here because all along we planned on taking DJ Dixon if he made it, and when he fell out of the first round, I thought for sure we were going to get him. So let's look at some other halfbacks. Chucks Brown, he honestly looks decent, but I don't love him. Next up's Chris Neal, and honestly, he looks way too slow. I don't think that'd be a good selection in this area. Josh Taylor, he's a later pick, so I don't even think it'd be smart to take him right now anyway. We're just going to scroll through and look at some halfbacks. So Quantel Johnson, our running back at Florida for Coach KJ, isn't the fastest guy, but he has a lot of good skills by the looks of it. Ramon Johnson, somebody that just looks kind of bad with good speed, basically. So he's going to need some work. And then defensive tackle Zach Dickerson, somebody I could be interested in, but I don't think he's that great. He doesn't have any elite traits. Now, Nick Lee is A tackling, but once again, he has good, and that's about it for everything. Evan Wilson has A tackling, B power moves, which I like. Great acceleration, good agility, good change of direction, good speed. He's somebody I could be interested in, but I think we could trade down to get him, and that's exactly what we do, picking up a 4 and a 7 to be able to help ourselves out here. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to come up, and we'll see who they end up taking with our selection. And it's going to be Micah Reed II, a tight end out of USC that won the Mackey Award, if I remember properly. So that puts the Detroit Lions on the clock, and they're going to go ahead and take Taylor Doughton, the right tackle out of Oregon. Bringing up the Denver Broncos, who are going to go ahead and take Deshaun Awini, a cornerback out of Clemson. And then Chucks Brown heads off the board to the Philadelphia Eagles, the halfback out of Clemson. Curious if he's any good. And then Zach Dickerson, the defensive tackle at Texas A&M, heads to the Miami Dolphins. I don't think I really wanted him anyway, but we do have to monitor how many D tackles go off the board. As Jake Schofield, the left tackle out of Western Michigan, is going to go ahead and head to the Colts. And then defensive tackle Nick Lee heads to the Giants out of Illinois. I'm getting a little concerned here, but LJ Carrier, the left guard out of Michigan, heads to the Texans with the next selection. And then the New England Patriots take strong safety Aaliyah Childs out of Navy. That's 2 Navy players taken today, one in the first, one in the second round. Would not have guessed that. Melvin Sanders William heads to the Bears with the next pick, and then Cyrus Demas, the left end out of Penn State, heads to the Titans. And then the Packers go Ty Young, the right guard out of Southern Miss, and that puts us on the board here, and we're probably going to end up making a selection, you would think, right? But we are looking at the board. We have Kyle Hinder. I'm definitely interested in him. The thing with Kyle Hinder is he's not really in need. He played for us at Florida. He made little sense for us here, though, in the NFL, so we're going to take a look at Kalen Blunt, the defensive tackle here. He looks okay. I still think Evan Wilson's better, and since he's on the board ahead of him, I'm actually going to debate moving down here. But, you know, it's going to take a decent offer because we're taking a risk. We could potentially pick up quite a bit, but we want to make sure we don't drop back too far because the further back we go, the less likely we are going to be able to get our guy here. So I want to be careful, but I still want to pick up extra capital because we traded up and we spent a ton of it this year. If you look at this, we can get 59, a third, and a 7. We're going to take that, and that's going to drop us back, and we're taking a big risk here. And Derek Betcher is going to be the selection, the wide receiver out of Alabama, heading to the Falcons. And then it's Chris Neal, the halfback out of Oklahoma, heading to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That puts the Arizona Cardinals on the clock. And they take a quarterback, Amir Lowry, out of UMass. He's a 26-year-old former minor league baseball player, so that's a shocking one. The Eagles beef up their O-line once again with Darian Sambrelo, the right guard out of Wisconsin. Now the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock, and that is going to be Kyle Hinder's new home as he was taken here. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be the top tight end on the team, which is pretty disappointing. So his career might be held back a little as the Baltimore Ravens are going to select strong safety Cam Jackson out of Cal. We'll see if he's able to make an impact alongside Kyle Hamilton. Is Charon Swinton, the cornerback out of Nebraska, is going to head to the Los Angeles Chargers with the next pick. And that puts the Buffalo Bills on the clock, and they take Devin Ruka, the left end out of Bowling Green State, which is just Bowling Green. And then the Dallas Cowboys go Joe Peterson, a tight end out of UCF. And you see the Jacksonville Jaguars take Kalen Blunt, the pick before us. Thankfully, it wasn't Evan Wilson. We're on the clock, and I have a pretty strong feeling we're going to go with Evan Wilson here. To me, he just makes the most sense. I really like what I see out of him. He seems like he could be a good developmental player. He has some pass rush upside, and that's where we go. He does have hidden dev, which is nice. I wasn't sure if we'd be able to get that. Only 87 strength's a little bit low. 83 acceleration's decent. Speed at 72, I guess, is okay. We'll see. I really want to see his skills because I think that's where he's the best. And that's going to put the Kansas City Chiefs on the board, and they go Joey Freeman, the defensive end out of Iowa State, with this selection. Now it's the San Francisco 49ers going TJ Hart, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma. And that's going to put the New York Jets on the board. And they're going to go ahead and take Nick Patterson, the quarterback out of Georgia State. They just signed Jordan Love. I don't understand why you'd make this selection. Seems a little premature to me. And then the Rams are going to take Tommy Harder, a quarterback out of West Virginia, to back up A.J. Childress. Like, he's never going to play. That makes no sense. The Cincinnati Bengals go Dominic Hesse, the right guard out of Northwestern. That makes a ton of sense for these guys. To begin round 3, the Washington Commanders go Antonio Bakari, the right outside linebacker out of Ole Miss. And then the Seahawks go E.J. Freeman, the strong safety out of UCLA. That puts the Bears on the clock, and they go Cannon Stevens, the right end out of USC. And now the pick before ours, it's going to be Kenny Ojemudia, the quarterback out of Navy, heading to the Browns. That's going to make 3 Navy players going in the first 3 rounds, 1 in each round. That's highly unusual. We could have never guessed that heading into this draft. However, we're on the clock here, so where are we going to go? It's Quantel Johnson's going to be our first option here. Only decent speed does worry me a little bit. It is the 3rd round, and he's projected to go round 3 to 4. He has some A potential in break tackle and ball carrier vision, and I think that's really important. And we're going to go ahead and take him. He only has 88 speed. We know that, though, from our time in the Coach KJ Dynasty. 90 agility, 90 acceleration. just 81 change of direction. He's a power back all the way at 6'1", 220, but we get lucky that he has hidden dev. It's probably only going to be star if I had to guess. We don't look at any of the dev traits when we create this draft class, by the way. I don't even go to that screen like any of the quarterbacks. I don't adjust their play style until after the draft, so that way I don't know what their dev trait is prior to taking them. And I know you guys just have to take my word for that, but to me, that's really important. I don't want to have too much information. Like, I already do have to go in and adjust these guys' speed and stuff like that. So I don't want to have too much information. I don't want to cheese the game. And that's why I try to do the editing for these draft classes before I start the season, before I play week 1. So that way there's a long time before I get to the off season. So even if what I did do, I will forget on the guys that I didn't personally use. Like, of course I know Quantel Johnson. Why do you think I wanted him? Of course I knew Keywan Haas was a 6'3" beast. That's why I wanted him. You know, I didn't know his overall, and I don't know their dev trait, but I know they're good players, and I know who they are, and I know how to utilize them. So that's why we really targeted them guys in this draft. We're going to finish out round 3, and then we're going to start jumping ahead here. I don't think we want to spend too much more time here in the draft. DJ Bird heads to the Packers, though. They take a quarterback. You know, that one makes a ton of sense. I think they would have taken Ray Hobbs if the Heat had been available, but DJ Bird out of Oklahoma State's a pretty good player. He played for the national title, just couldn't beat TCU, so I'm glad to see him make it into the NFL. We're getting close to the end of the round, though. There's a few more good players that we know coming off the board. Ben Ripley's a pretty good guard out of Minnesota. We actually tried to recruit him. Then it's Ryan Borgs, a wide receiver out of Clemson. Next up, it's Jose Beckham, a wide receiver out of Northern Iowa. That's an FCS program, getting a guy in round 3. And then it's Keem Polk, the tight end out of Kentucky. We took him on a ton. We know a lot about him. He's a really good player. And then it's Cameron Callahan, a tight end out of Colgate, another FCS player going off the board here. The Buffalo Bills go Josh Taylor, the halfback out of Texas A&M. That's going to put the Cowboys on the clock. And they go quarterback Zach Cook out of South Dakota, an FCS program. Really interested to see if he's any good. And then it's Jesse Gunter, a defensive end out of Georgia. He made a few plays in the run game against us. And Josh McSorley goes here. We scouted him. We were interested in him later, hopefully in the 4th round. We were thinking about maybe trading up for him. The Chiefs took an FCS receiver, and then the San Francisco 49ers are taking Marsh Mack, a cornerback out of Purdue. Then it's Nathan Moorhead, the right outside linebacker out of Kansas State, heading to the New York Jets. David Caston, the left outside linebacker out of UCF, is going to head to the Rams. And then to finish up round 3, it's Brandon Heaps, the right end out of Wisconsin. And then Tyler Hayes goes at round 4, pick 7, our strong safety out of Florida. He went pro prior to what I thought he would. I thought he should have come back for another year, and that, you know, kind of plays out as true, him falling into the 4th round. We'll have to see how his career works out with the Broncos. Hopefully he doesn't pick us off too many times. And then at round 4, pick 21, it's Tier Metzenheimer. He is a player that made a ton of plays against us, along with strong safety Cameron Smith out of LSU. They both played there and were absolutely nightmares for us. We are going to be on the clock here, though, at round 5, pick 5. And, you know, we are planning on taking players. I think we need to get some more players on the team here to finish out the draft class. Thought about maybe trading down more to accumulate more picks, but I think we need to spend some as well. We got a lot of high-end talent. Now let's work on getting our depth. We're looking at middle linebacker. Honestly, not that impressed with what I see so far at these guys. So let's change gears and look somewhere else. We're going to go tight end. You know, Bobby Payton doesn't look that good, honestly. I wish he did, but he just doesn't. Or Patton, sorry, not Payton. He just doesn't look good. Jonathan Francisco, he looks okay. He has a catch in traffic that I like, and he has pretty good speed. He could make some sense, but I don't think we need a tight end quite yet. He is an option, though. He does look pretty good, but he has some at least usable skills, in my opinion. So we're going to go ahead back to the D-line and take a look. Sandley West has 2A potential, or has 2A grades in power moves and tackle, potential A grade and finesse moves. I think he makes too much sense. He has good speed, great acceleration, elite agility, and we're going to go ahead and take Sandley West out of Auburn. He ends up coming in with 85 acceleration, 86 agility, 82 speed, and he has hidden dev. We'll see if we're able to develop this power rusher. 6'5", 253, has a good frame, and I can't wait to get him in there to play behind Max Crosby, because he's somebody that I really think could potentially replace him down the road. At round 5, pick 10, another quarterback goes. It's Parker Westbrook out of Yale, heading to the Colts to back up Anthony Richardson. And then at round 5, pick 18, the Buccaneers get their quarterback, and Christian Williams out of Cal. At round 5, pick 19, it's going to be the Steelers taking Kevon Wallace, the quarterback out of Buffalo. This is a little higher than I thought he would go, honestly. And then at round 5, pick 22, it's Ty Brown, the left outside linebacker out of Georgia. He made a ton of plays against us. And then at round 5, pick 24, another quarterback goes. This time it's Blake Reinke out of Army. And then at round 5, pick 30, a guy I was hoping to be able to target later, Avery DeWalt on Dijo, the wide receiver out of Penn State. He was one of our first big recruits to the Nittany Lions while we were there, and I really think he's going to be a good player. And then at round 5, pick 31, it's going to be Robert Sample out of LSU. He made a ton of plays against us. And then at round 6, pick 4, it's Tanner Buckley out of Georgia heading to the Cleveland Browns. And that puts us on the clock at round 6, pick 5. And I think we're going to go ahead and possibly take Key Vea here. An outside backer with 2 B skills this late in the draft seems pretty strong to me. He has some good athleticism with great speed. We do take a look around, though. David Hester's an option. He played first at Florida, but we know Hester's not fast. And I do think that's going to matter quite a bit at the receiver position in the NFL, so I'm just not sure I can take him. And then you look at Nick Knight with 2 B skills and 2 potential A skills. He could actually maybe tempt me into taking him over Key Vea, if I'm being honest with you. A hit power is okay, B pursuit's good, B tackle's good, and we decide let's go ahead and take Nick Knight because of the potential upside. We know he can have some A's and he has 2 B's. We get 82 speed, 79 agility, 87 acceleration. He's only normal dev. We'll have to see. We'll find out more on him later. And at round 6, pick 10, it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens taking J.P. Elliott out of Auburn. He picked us off a couple times. At round 6, pick 14, it's Jerry Tomlinson out of Fordham heading to the Panthers. And at David Hester out of our University of Florida heads to the Bucks at round 6, pick 17. I'm really excited for this young man, and I hope he has a huge impact and has a fantastic career for the Buccaneers. The thing is, he's just not the fastest guy in the world, so I'm not sure how it's going to work out. We're going to be on the clock here at round 6, pick 20, I believe it is. Yes, it is. And we are probably going to take Key Vea, I think. But we're going to look around. We still need D-tackle help. Chris Groves actually looks okay. He doesn't have the top-end speed, but he has great acceleration. Garrison Barker has a lot of potential grades that I like, and he has good athleticism. So I think he makes a ton of sense, and we're going to go ahead and take him. He has 88 acceleration, 75 agility, 85 speed, 76 strength. He is a run stopper, so he fits our scheme really well. We're not going to have to worry about moving him down to defensive end. At round 6, pick 26, Travis Potter, the quarterback out of Memphis, heads to the Jaguars to back up Trevor Lawrence. At round 6, pick 30, the Jets take Greg Smith, a fullback out of Penn State, so they're going all in on our former Penn State players, it looks like, currently. We're on the clock here at round 7, pick 17. And, here, I think it makes some sense to either target Chris Groves or Key Vea. But we're going to look around at the halfback position as well because there are some possible people to like. And I have targeted a couple outside linebackers and already gotten a D tackle. So getting another running back in here would make a ton of sense. So they probably should take priority over what we already have. And I look at Austin Johnson. I see 3 Bs, great speed. Now he doesn't have the best acceleration and agility. I think he could make some sense with this selection. Maybe we wait though because he's a potential undrafted free agent type of guy. And to me, so far, he's looking like the best running back. I just think we might be able to target him at maybe a later pick. However, we are in round 7. So at the end of the day, you just take who's available. And, that's what you got to do sometimes. Even if they're not the top option, according to the experts out there. We're going to take a look at Luke Capps, a player that we remember from his time at Alabama. He just doesn't look good. And then I look at Key Vea, and ultimately, that's who I go with. It makes a ton of sense. I've been looking at him for a while. We get 89 acceleration, 76 agility, 85 speed, only normal dev, but he could be a really good steal this late in the draft. And we have one more selection. Let's see where we decide to go at round 7, pick 19. We're looking at Austin Johnson, and we decide now let's pull the trigger. We waited a little bit. He was potential undrafted free agent. Let's get him in here and see if he can make an impact at running back. He has 93 speed, 88 agility, 90 acceleration, 83 change of direction. He could be more of a pass catcher type in the future. We'll see. He has a ton of development to do. And honestly, I forgot we have one more selection at round 7, pick 27. So with this selection, it makes some sense to target Chris Groves because he has 2 Bs, great acceleration that I liked. And at the end of the day, I think here is a good time to target him. He was falling down the board, which tells me there's something to worry about that I don't see. He has 87 strength, 83 acceleration, only normal dev. So we'll see. He's going to have to come in and work and try to fight to make this team because At the end of the day, nothing's guaranteed for him. We do have one more guy go at round 7, pick 28. It's Caleb Kirbyson, our center from Florida. I thought he'd go much higher than this, but centers don't always go high. Taking a look at the players that we drafted, Kewan Hawes comes in at an 81 overall with 94 speed, 84 man, 81 zone, 87 agility, 90 acceleration. He looks really good. His press is low, which we do know he struggled a little bit at Florida with that. Our next selection, Josh McDaniels, comes in at an 81 overall, 6'6", 225. He is a really balanced receiver with 96 speed, 96 acceleration, 89 catching, 85 catching traffic, 78 short, medium, and then he has a little bit better deep route running. So I think he's a fantastic pick, and I can't wait to get him out there. Our quarterback, Ray Hobbs, comes in at a 74 overall. We're going to have to upgrade him, though, as a field general. He only has 75 deep, 76 medium, 80 short. With 99 throw power, you'd hope his deep accuracy would be a little bit better coming into the league, but that's, something we can develop, I think. Accuracy is just not a strong suit at the end of the day. He's going to have to rely on his athleticism. Evan Wilson comes in at a 72 overall. That's really good, honestly, for a late round 2 pick with pretty good upside with 78 power moves. His finesse moves and block shedding are both low. He's not much of a run defender, but I think he can come in and make an impact. We are looking for more of pass rush help. The thing is, alongside DeMar Cox, it's kind of redundant to have him. Now taking a look at Quantel Johnson, he comes in at a 74 power back, but a 73 elusive back, which is nice. He has the 88 speed we knew, 83 break tackle, 88 carrying, 83 ball carrier vision, 82 trucking, 81 stiff arming. You could see he's just a good back all around. Now his pass catching could use some work, and honestly it should be better than that. He did a lot of good things at Florida. He didn't catch a ton of passes, but he caught some tough ones. Sandley West comes in at a 70 overall. He has 77 power moves, which is really nice. 81 tackling is really nice. His block shedding super low along with his play recognition. He's somebody, though, that I think has a good floor and will be able to develop him. Nick Knight comes in at a 67 run stopper. That's not bad. I'll take that. He's got 78 tackling, 75 pursuit, 72 block shedding's pretty good, 73 strength, 73 play rec. He looks like a decent player, honestly, overall. Garrison Barker comes in at a 66 overall. The rookie out of Northwestern, he has 82 tackling, which is really nice, 73 hit power. He's okay. I wouldn't say he's going to make a crazy impact early on. He needs some development. The player I'm most disappointed in is Key Vea. He comes in at a 60 overall. I really thought he was going to be better than that. He has 60 zone, which is okay, 70 pursuit, 78 tackle. He has really good athleticism, and, them B grades got me. I really thought he was going to be much better than this. Austin Johnson surprises me, though, coming in at a 69 overall. He's only a 61 receiving back, but that might be the direction to develop him long-term, as he has 93 speed, 90 agility. I mean, he is a really good player, truthfully, coming in. Getting him at round 7 was quite the steal. Chris Groves, he was just kind of a shot in the dark guy who fell down the board, and I see why. He's just a 62 overall. He really isn't good enough at anything, and that's kind of his problem. He's just not a good player. He's probably more of a practice squad guy that may or may not make the team as like a 3 or 4 defensive tackle. Like, he's somebody that's future doesn't look that bright, honestly. So let's take a look at some of the players that were selected. Isaiah Carlisle's a 76 overall scrambler type quarterback. 95 throw power is really good. His accuracies are pretty good. His medium's oddly low, though. He looks like a good player. I do think Ray Hobbs will be better in the long term. I like the extra athleticism and the extra arm strength we get from Hobbs. That's hard to develop. I think we can get his accuracies up to match him a little bit better. Taking a look at Kyle Howard, I was right about him. He comes in at a 70 overall. He's 5'10", 194 pounds. He is a field general. He's got 90 throw power, which is pretty good. He has pretty good accuracy, honestly. His deep accuracy is not the best, but I think that's a little bit of the product of his size. He's not the most athletic guy. He can move around a little bit if he has to, though. Taking a look at Shane Cervenka, he comes in at just a 68 overall. We knew he needed some development, though, coming out of Alabama. Like I said, he's athletic, but he doesn't have the strongest arm. He wasn't the most accurate guy in college. He's just somebody that needs a lot of work. He's got 88 speed, though, 89 acceleration, 86 agility. If they can get that accuracy up with his arm not being the strongest, that's the area he needs to improve the most, if you ask me. We're going to scroll through and show off the classes. We're going to look at Pig Odin here out of Pitt because he's somebody that I thought would be a little bit better than he is. I was surprised at how low of an overall he had. DJ Dixon, though, one of our targets, is a really good player. He's a 75 overall, and I wish we could have got him. 93 speed. at 257 pounds is insane. With 96 juke move, are you kidding me? 86 change of direction. This dude's going to be nasty. Derek Betro, receiver out of Alabama, we know all about, 76 overall, hidden dev player. The Falcons got a steal here, moving up and taking him. Honestly, man, we should have probably taken him. 95 speed, 98 acceleration, 94 agility. Man, he is insanely good. Taking a look at Amir Lowry, he's a 67 overall. Like I said, he's the 26-year-old rookie with 99 throw power, but his accuracies are garbage. He's basically Ray Hobbs, but worse. He doesn't have the athleticism, and he doesn't have as good accuracy, so he's going to have a long way to go. Let's go ahead and take a look at Kyle Hinder. He only has normal dev, which is disappointing. He's a 74 overall tight end, 86 speed, 83 catching, pretty low route running, honestly. He has good spec catch, good catch in traffic. He's somebody that did kind of disappoint overall in the Florida Gators dynasty. He could have been better. He just never put up crazy stats. Taking a look at Nick Patterson, he's a 69 overall guy that I don't understand why the Jets felt like they needed. He doesn't have a strongest arm. His accuracy's kind of spotty. He can hit the short passes. He is very athletic though, but long term I don't get it. Tommy Harder heading to the Rams, same idea here. He's only a 66 overall. Why would you reach to get this guy when you already have your quarterback of the future? He only has 83 throw power. He has really good accuracy. Like, he's going to be a good backup, but why would you take that in round 2? When you could have gotten a guy like Kenny Ojemudia, who's got 69 overall, hidden dev, 87 throw power, much better accuracy. He looks like the real deal here, the quarterback out of Navy. He has some athleticism. He can honestly push Deshaun Watson for a starting job in the few years. Taking a look at DJ Bird, the rookie quarterback out of Oklahoma State, 6'4", great throw power at 90, great throw accuracy short at 90. His deep accuracy sucks at 68, though. He's not the most athletic guy, but he's somebody that could develop into a starter in the long term, if you ask me. Zach Cook out of South Dakota, he's a 68 overall guy. Don't know anything about him. I didn't touch him at all. He's an 88 throw power, 82 throw accuracy short. He looks like a good backup quarterback, honestly. He could develop 94 speed. Are you in K? Wow, that's incredible. I wouldn't have guessed that. Let's take a look at Tyler Hayes, our strong safety out of Florida. Only normal dev, 69 overall. That's pretty disappointing, 91 speed. He just needs a lot of development, taking a look at his skills. Like I said, I thought he came out early, and he probably shouldn't have. He deserved to fall in the draft where he did. Unfortunately, he just wasn't developed enough. Taking a look at Parker Westbrook, he has hidden dev out of Yale. He's a 65 overall, 96 throw power, lower accuracy, is not the best athlete. That'll be cool to see him backing up Anthony Richardson. He's an interesting prospect. Christian Williams is a 70 overall out of Cal, though. That's pretty impressive. He also has hidden dev, 97 throw power. This class had some elite arm strength. Excellent throw accuracy short at 86, but his deep sucks at 64. He can't hit the deep ball at all. He's like Joe Milton, basically, is all that reminds me of. Blake Ranke is up next. He's out of Army. You can imagine he probably runs the ball well. Doesn't have the strongest arm, but it's not that bad at an 88. Pretty good accuracy. Decent athleticism at a 79. He actually looks like a good backup. Maybe someday could be a spot starter. Let's take a look at Avery DeWalt on Dejo. He comes in at a 71 overall. Only normal dev, but he has 91 speed, 93 acceleration, 91 agility. Little lower on the route running, good catching, good spec catch. He does need some development, but he was really good for us at Penn State, and he's somebody that I was hoping I could bring along with me to the Florida Gators. We just couldn't get him to come. Taking a look at Robert Sample, he's a 70 overall, 95 speed, 95 acceleration, 91 agility. Same idea, basically. A little bit better, though, at the deep route running at a 76. He's kind of a pure deep threat, and we do know he burned us for LSU quite a few times. Jerry Tomlinson's up next. He's a 65 overall for the Panthers. Looks like a good backup. He's solid. I'd be happy with that selection this late in the draft. Then it's David Hester. He's going to head to the Buccaneers with 69 overall normal dev. 88 speed. That's actually higher than I expected it to be. He looks good. I mean, he has great short route running, pretty decent medium. His deep route's not that great. He's not the fastest guy, so he's going to struggle with that. I think he could be a really good player. He just has to develop. At the end of the day, that's the thing with him. Travis Potter comes in at a 64 overall, heading to the Jaguars. He has good throw power, decent accuracies. I mean, he looks like a solid backup quarterback. Not the fastest guy, so he definitely needs to work on that accuracy. Greg Smith is probably the top fullback at a 76 overall normal dev. He was fantastic for us at Penn State. Another guy that I thought about transferring to the Gators, but thing is, I don't use fullbacks a ton, and the Gators already had a good one, so it didn't make a ton of sense to bring him. He has the opportunity to have a great career here, though. Caleb Kirbyson only comes in at at a 67 overall. He needs a lot of development, which sucks. I really loved having him at the Florida Gators. He just unfortunately wasn't in a good center class, so he didn't get the highest overall. You know, he's going to have a long ways to go. But that's it for the offseason, guys. I'm excited. Next episode, we're not going to show the preseason. We're going to jump straight into the next season. I'm LDJ11. I want to thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I'm out.